welcome to the speakers present and to our audience member. My name is Lerato Bukako. I'm one of the organizers for the African Diaspora International Film Festival, and we're very excited to be presenting the 31st edition of the festival this year. We have some guests today, and I'd like to just start us off by asking the speakers to please do a quick introduction for themselves. Should we start with you, DRO, and just kind of work clockwise?
Okay, my name is Diane De La Haye, and I am the co-director and co-founder of the African Diaspora International Film Festival. This is our first chat, and I'm so excited to see you join us. So that's it for now.
I'm Imani. I'm also one of the organizers of the festival. Thank you so much for being here, Diane. Again, hopefully Marjemi will be joining us. We think this is going to be a great way for ADIFF supporters and potential patrons to get familiar with what we have in store in an engaging and personal way. So yeah, thank everybody for being here. ADIFF Reel Chat is a series of live conversation with featured talent from the ADIFF New York 2023 collective. So yeah.
And welcome to Diane. If you could please give us a quick intro of yourself, please.
Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Diane De La Haye. I'm a Jamaican Canadian screenwriter and executive producer. I've been in the industry for about 10 years now, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you for being here. And your film, Fab 4 and the Silent Retreat, will be screening at the African Diaspora International Film Festival. Will you please give us a quick summary on what the film's about, please?
I will, thank you. So Fab 4 and the Silent Retreat is kind of based off a true story. It's about myself and 3 other friends who usually take girls' trips maybe every 5 or 10 years when we're celebrating our birthdays. And I decided to set it in a silent retreat because what could be more hilarious than 4 Caribbean, loud Caribbean, colorful, noisy women attempting to go to a silent retreat to, get some inner peace or inner wisdom. So that's basically what the movie is about. We don't actually get to the silent retreat because it's just a short 17 minutes, but you see the initial planning stages of what they're going through at the moment, what makes them think that a trip is the best way to solve some of their issues, and the hilarity that ensues in trying to plan the silent retreat.
Okay, and I believe we have a trailer for the film that we can play.
Sure.
You're on mute.
I wanted to say, Christian, you're here. We're happy that you were able to make it.
Hello. Opportunity to notice what keeps your attention at the surface. To be honest with yourself about what prevents
fall into your innermost depth while being held in the love and spaciousness of the container of the retreat.
Really? Why do we even bother? If we're going to stuff ourselves after every circumcise class.
Diana, nobody has tried to lose weight. I like my body just the way it is. Boop, delicious. Bang, bang, bang.
I'm getting married. And your my guy is a burger eating, weed smoking buffoon. Hey, that's my fiance you're talking about.
If you like it, then you put a sugar ring on it.
That's the power of Diana. She just sucks the life out of everything. It's a life skill I am proud of. A silent retreat.
And why would we travel so far? Pay all of that money not to speak.
You could use some sex. Loosen up a bit.
Come, let me loosen up your face with this.
See? It's gonna be great. I'll sign us up.
That looks great. Congratulations, Diana, on making such a hilarious film. I'd like to ask you a question about pacing. You did mention that this is a short film. Can you talk us through your writing process and how you handled pacing within the constraints of a short film format?
I guess because I was initially going to make it a feature anyway, I knew that usually the way it's formatted is that by page 15 or page 20, you should have been finished with Act 1. And usually at the end of Act 1 is when I guess you kind of have a sort of cliffhanger because you're moving into Act 2, which is the other world. So Act 1, pages 15 to 20 is the ordinary world, the regular, everyday. You're meeting the characters in their everyday, ordinary world. And then in Act 2 is when they go to the different place, the other world. So I knew I was writing it in that context. And so I knew that by the end of pages 15 to 20, that they would have made the decision that they're going to go to the silent retreat. So what I did is I set up so I guess to answer your question, I didn't really write it as a short. I was writing the first 15 pages of a feature. So you introduce all 4 characters, you explain what they're going through at the moment. Usually you try to find some empathy in each person so that you can see development of their characters towards the end of the film. And of course you throw the comedy in there because that's mainly what I write. So yeah, that's what I did.
And you say that you wrote it initially as a feature. Does that mean you're still in the process of writing? Do you still plan on making this?
Yes. Yes, that is still the plan. It has the potential to be cut into 6 different episodes if that's the preferred format for whoever is interested in taking on the project. But like I said, it initially was a feature, but it can be because as a screenwriter, you have to keep developing your skills, and a lot of demands these days are for a 6 or 8 episode series. So you have to learn to switch, and there actually is a template that Netflix released where it teaches you how to switch from feature into 6 or 8 episodes of the same storyline. So I can do either or, but yes, we are still in the process of finishing the entire script, which can be converted into episodic.
And Imani, I believe you had a question about the cliffhanger. You mentioned the cliffhanger.
Yeah, Diane kind of answered it for me. It ended on the cliffhanger, so I was wondering if, it will be developed into a feature or if we could expect a part 2. And I'm happy to hear that the Fab Four shenanigans are to be continued. Yes?
Yeah. Well, as you know, these things are expensive. And the agreement that I had with the director and the co-executive producer was that he would only be putting his effort and his talent behind the first 15 or 17 pages. And so I'm grateful that he was able to get it done. And the actresses that he hired and the locations that he found. So yeah, excellent job. It was our first time working together, and he got the comedy right. It was his first comedy as well. Peter Sagney is the director. It was his first comedy and the first time casting a comedy. And so I thought he did a really excellent job. But yeah, it's an expensive endeavor. A lot of stuff is done for free. And going forward, we really would like to, pay some of the crew and the cast. But yeah, we do really hope that it has legs, that it can keep going and we can see the final product, or at least what you would call an episode 2, which is at least them arriving at the retreat and, start to see some of the shenanigans that will happen there.
I'd love to see that, I have to say. I can't wait to see part 2.
That's the thing. So if we can't make the whole 90-minute feature, then at least we'd like to get some support to get to at least another episode or at least another 20 minutes so that we can see them, you know, running through the airport and getting to the retreat and all of the things that they're not expecting or all of the luxuries that they're accustomed to, which are not available at the retreat. And then, of course, the fact that they have to be silent at this retreat, which we know it's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So
we have a Christian here who joined us. Hi, Christian. How are you?
Hi, so sorry about being late. How are you?
That's no worries. So tell us about your film.
It's called The Black Experience. Kind of maybe 2022-ish. There were a lot of competition screenwriting things where people were asking for writers who could write the authentic Black experience. And I kept seeing that exact wording everywhere. It just made me ask, I was like, what is that? And secondly, who gets to decide if I did it right? And so just as I started kind of processing that, I wrote a short called The Black Experience. And it is 4 screenwriters who are pitching their ideas to the studio of stories they want to tell, and then constantly having to prove to her what makes it Black.
Let's show the trailer.
Okay.
How do you see this as a Black experience?
Right.
Next.
It's
Next.
You know Black people.
Next.
It's a short, right? But it gives you an idea.
Yeah, it's a 5-minute micro short. And so it's written as one interview that just keeps cutting back and forth between the writers.
I guess I kind of have I don't know if it's a question, but I just know when I was in college, I had a professor, his name was Professor Caldwell, and we had an in-depth conversation about how limiting it is to perpetuate the idea that there is a Black experience, you know, considering the fact that Black people come in many shades, sizes, backgrounds. So I don't know, I guess I just wanted to hear a bit more from you, what you think about the limitations of the Black experience and how maybe you hope this film is breaking down those types of barriers and those expectations.
Yeah, I've been asked a couple of times of what I want from this short. And honestly, my biggest thing is to just kind of get people to think about the questions that you're asking before you ask them. Think about those things that you have in your head or the stereotypes, because we all have them from any walk of life, regardless of ethnicity. You have a certain way that you've seen things that people have said to you. And so your brain kind of has wrapped thoughts around that. And just kind of starting to, in your own life, live on purpose. So you're not just living from that space of, this is what I've known up till now, but kind of looking at what's actually in front of you and, you know, the people that you're actually coming in contact with. Because for any ethnicity, to be perfectly honest, there's no one experience. You know, somebody who grew up in the Caribbean is going to have a different life from somebody who grew up in Detroit, and is going to have a different, you know, life from someone who grew up in Germany. Just by age, you're going to have a different life experience if you grew up in the same city. You know, like when I grew up, computers were not a household thing for people that are like 20 years old. They have no concept of what life was like without them. So your experiences are going to be different, and there's no one story or one thing that we can just, you know, paint on it and go, well, this is the Black experience, because it's not. And all of those experiences are not, none of them are any less valid or any less Black, which I think we've all heard at some point in your life about not being Black enough. That's not a thing. It's your story, it's your experience, it's your world. And for every one of us who's had any type of experience, there's 1,000 more who've had that same experience and 1,000 more who have no concept of it at all. And all of those stories are valid and should be told.
Yeah, you're so right. And this is really what the festival is all about. So I'm so glad you said that, because it fits 100% with the mission of the festival, which is really to showcase the global Black experience from, you know, from so many different angles, different perspectives, you know, and to just, you know, show what we have in common, what's different, and help us demystify a lot of the ideas that are around what it is to be Black. So that's why we liked your film. We thought it was fun. It was short, but it was to the point, definitely. You know, folks who are there, you know, if you have questions or you want to say something, please feel free. You know, this is meeting format. It's not formal. So feel free to, you know, just like ask a question, unmute, and be part of the conversation if you feel like it. So like, Christian, do you have a question for Diane? And Diane, do you have a question for Christian? I'm putting you on.
How did you play with having to make an ensemble story in a short format? Being able to tell 4 different people's story in a very short period of time.
Right. Well, like I said, it was partially based on a true story. So I did actually steal some storylines and personalities from things that actually did happen or real people. So that wasn't too difficult. But yes, in terms of giving each person their own time to shine, you do have to watch, like, if you give like each character only like 2 pages to introduce themselves or introduce the issue that they're dealing with, because you know that you have to pace or you have to hit a certain page number by a certain time. So I probably did have to look at that at some point when I was writing it, when you have to deal with 4 people and all of the stuff that's going on with them. So maybe it was about 2 pages per character for them to tell their story, and then try to, you know, mesh it all together in that short space of time, as well as put some comic relief in there as well.
I have a question about comedy writing. You both wrote comedies, and I'm always so curious about how do you approach writing a comedy film? Do you set out to write a funny film, or is it a case of you want to write, say, a drama and it organically becomes funny?
I naturally find funny in drama anyway. So even if I was trying to write a drama, that's how my brain works. I would just find something funny to say or do in that moment. So, but I do like to write comedy most of the time. So I did set out, well, the premise of it alone is that 4 Caribbean women are going to a silent retreat. So that's naturally, you instinctively think it's comedic. So that part was easy to write, and but I have written drama, and I actually have a series coming out in January. Another collaboration with Peter Sagnia, and he does mostly drama. And this was my first time writing a series for him, and I put a lot of comedy in there, even though it is about a serious topic. But that's just how my brain works, and I think it really came out well. He premiered the first episode already and got really good reviews from it. So I can do drama, but I always figure out a way to put comedy in there.
Mm-hmm. And for you, Christian?
Congratulations on the series, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am a comedy writer, so even when I try to write serious things, they end up being funny. So I've just kind of given up. I also find that you can say things in a joke you can't say in real life. So if you are attacking a really serious subject, comedy will allow for it to be a little bit more brazen involved than a drama might necessarily be palatable. And then you also get that feeling as a viewer where you're like, oh, wait a minute. So I do enjoy that about the genre.
Okay. It also makes things more accessible, I guess. Like it makes really hard to tackle themes or really big themes feel a bit more accessible, a bit more approachable. So
yeah,
I really appreciate that about both of your films. Yeah.
I'll also add that because of the pandemic, I couldn't watch any of my favorite dramas anymore because I just wanted to always feel happy and joy, and the news and the uncertainty of the whole world that got us all so down. I just devoured comedy during that time, and so I knew that regardless, I was going to be writing a lot of comedy during that time. And it's still continuing even now because they say the pandemic is over, but we're still walking around feeling depressed. So I'm still digesting a lot of comedy, and I'm still writing a lot of comedy. And I've tried to go back to my favorite drama shows, and I just can't. So it means that we really are still starved to laugh and feel joy and, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you both for being part of this first chat, ADIFF Chat, Reel Chat program. This is a new experiment, and I want to thank all of you who joined us to be part of this conversation. We're going to have more. We're going to invite more filmmakers, so please stay tuned. We want to keep it this sweet and short and sweet. And we want everybody to join us at the festival, November 24th to December 10 in New York City, and online as well, nationwide. So mark your calendar, get your tickets, and we'll see you soon at the festival.
Okay.
Thank you all, and have a good evening.
Thank you for arranging this, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. You guys have a great night.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.